ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining me for today's video. In it, I want to deep dive Derek Carr and answer the question, what will he be in 2022? But before we get into that, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I really appreciate you guys joining us. If you haven't done it yet, for whatever reason, or have enjoyed content from me in the past, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe. It helps me out so much. It enables me to do what I love. That way, I can keep bringing you guys the content that you love. Now, with that said, done, and out of the way, let's get into this version of Hot Off the Press. There is no doubt about it. Las Vegas is one of the teams that I am most excited about watching in 2022. With all of their offseason additions, both on the offense and the defensive sides of the ball, they have the making of a contender in a loaded AFC. We all know the quarterback drives a team's success ultimately. And while Derek Carr has been performing pretty well for a while now, for one reason or another, he seems like he's almost flown under the radar. He's definitely underappreciated on a national level, and he does not get the credit that he deserves, at times carrying a less than stellar Raiders team. So today, we are gonna deep dive Carr, his situation this season, and what he can do to help the Raiders take the next step. We are gonna answer the question, what will Derek Carr be in 2022? To see where he is going, let's first take a look at where he has been. Carr's best season came in 2016 when he was the front runner for league MVP before breaking his fibula in week 16 against Indianapolis. The Raiders were 12-3 at the time, and they were looking like a favorite to make a run at the Super Bowl. It has been rocky for him, and I would say specifically in the win-loss column ever since. In his next 4 seasons, the Raiders went a combined 25-38 under Carr, never once getting over 500. Maybe this run was the reasoning behind the lack of credibility he has as a top 12 quarterback in the NFL, where I personally have him. And at face value, that's kind of hard to argue with. The NFL is a what have you done for me lately, and how many wins are you putting up sort of league. And there's no denying that Carr has not gotten enough out of the ladder in that regard. Then last season happened, and the change in narrative began. Las Vegas started out 3-2 before John Gruden's downfall, and the rest of the drama began, threatening to tear this team apart from its very foundation. Gruden's resignation would be followed by the Henry Ruggs incident on November 2nd and cornerback Damon Arnett's gun brandishing video less than a week later that ended in both players being removed from the team. The latter 2 of those incidents both occurred on the team's bye. Finally, in January, days before a do-or-die matchup with LA, Nate Hobbs, the starting slot corner for Vegas, was arrested and charged with DUI. He would be allowed to play the following game, and he helped the Raiders overcome a desperate Chargers team who were also vying for a playoff berth. Las Vegas was able to prevail in overtime to extend their season. This is just off the field issues and does not even take into account that the Raiders' #1 receiving threat and one of the game's best tight ends in Darren Waller missed the team's final 5 games as they tried to make that playoff push. That is quite a chaotic decade for an NFL team, and to have this laundry list occur in a matter of months is almost beyond belief. Replacing John Gruden for Vegas was Rich Bisaccia, the team's special teams coordinator since 2018. He had 0 head coaching experience prior to this. Don't misunderstand me. I do not want to downplay what Bisaccia did, because I believe that it is amazing what he helped the Raiders accomplish in 2021. But I also want to be realistic. There is no one who had a greater impact on the outcome of Vegas' season last year than Derek Carr. He was the engine of this team, and he was the leader that they needed when John Gruden left. just as he always has been. It truly speaks to Carr's character, overcoming such distractions and pushing forward in the midst of seemingly insurmountable odds. Most teams would have completely fallen apart when faced with Vegas's circumstances, but Carr would not let that happen. His calm demeanor in the storm was a lighthouse that his teammates could follow. I'll admit, this seems like a lengthy setup for the video today, but I feel like it's super important to set the stage before we dive into the statistics and break down what is in front of Carr and the Raiders. Only then can we truly understand what he can be in 2022. Through everything that we just discussed, Carr set a career high with over 4,800 passing yards last season. His 23 touchdowns and 68.4% completion percentage were both third highest that he's had in his 8 NFL seasons. A big knock, and rightfully so, was his jump in interceptions, where his 14 in 2021 also set a career high. Considering the lack of viable targets in Vegas's passing attack, especially after they lost Ruggs and then Darren Waller late in the year, I lean towards giving him a pass in the pick category. You can only do so much with so little after all, and it was obvious that Carr was, at times, trying to do too much to overcompensate for the talent deficiency. The truth is, however, he has been dealing with little help for a long time. After Carr's breakout in 2016, he did not have a single wide receiver break 1,000 yards until last year, when Hunter Renfrow exploded to end the year and was finally able to break that barrier. In that time, Carr's best wideouts were an old and washed up version of Michael Crabtree and Jordy Nelson. He got just one healthy year out of Amari Cooper. He had Nelson Aguilar in 2020, and he almost got 900 yards from him, which was a career high for him by well over 200 yards. Aguilar had 363 yards in 10 games in his last season with Philly, and less than 500 yards after signing a fat free agency contract in New England last year, for context. To be fair, Carr did have help at tight end. Jared Cook nearly had 900 yards for him in 2018, and we all know of Darren Waller's coming out parties the last 2 seasons before he got banged up in 2021. He went for 2,300 yards in 2020 and 2021 combined, but really, that is the extent of the support that he's had. With that in mind, it has been extremely impressive what Derek Carr has done thus far in his career. His numbers show that he is capable of carrying a pedestrian group of playmakers, just not getting the wins that the fan base and the franchise has been craving. To say that Carr will have the best weapon group in his career in 2022 is kind of like saying that water is wet or peanut butter goes really well with jelly. Thanks, Einstein. But before we get into that, let's look at my concerns. Well, concern really, because there's only one. The offensive line is probably the Raiders' biggest question mark, but at least they added some competition in the draft after taking guard Dylan Parham and offensive tackle Thayer Munford. After the Adams trade left Las Vegas without a first or a second round pick, Parham was their first player taken, and he could certainly earn a starting role either at left guard or potentially at center if he can catch on quickly. It was critical Las Vegas addressed the need up front, and they did the best they could to do that. Denzel Good coming back healthy will be a boost as well. If 2021 first round pick Alex Leatherwood can develop, there is hope in the trenches. Now, that is certainly a big if after his really poor play last season, but I would counter with the offensive line was in full flux for almost the entire year, and with more stability, it is likely to get better results. The Raiders will be betting on it, as right now, this line is their biggest weakness, and they will be critical to Vegas's success. The running game, it should be solid. While Josh Jacobs' rushing prowess took a step back in 2021, he still nearly had 900 yards on the ground. But more importantly, he became far more deadly in the passing game. His 54 receptions last year were more than he had in 2019 and 2020 combined. This dual threat ability is going to serve the Raiders well. If Jacobs can stay healthy, and he's missed a combined 6 games in his first 3 years, he will return back to that 1,000-yard club while maintaining the upgraded passing game chops. After last season, he is eager to prove himself capable of a bounce-back campaign, and I believe that is exactly what happens. And now we get to the fun stuff, with the biggest addition in free agency for my money. And really, for the Raiders' money too. Did you see what Miami gave up to go and get and keep Tyreek Hill? Davante Adams is not just going to help out Derek Carr in a monster way, but he's also going to transform the entire Raiders offense. He is a cut above. Adams' stat line over his last 2 years is absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, that's real. Sure, the connection that he had with Aaron Rodgers was special. And no, I do not expect it to be the same with Carr. At least not right away. But it may not take as long for the two to click as some might think. I am sure you've heard by now, but Carr and Adams played together in college. In 2 years at Fresno State, the duo combined for over 3,000 yards and 38 touchdowns. And yes, that is a real stat too. It stands to reason then that they have some sort of connection. I doubt that they delay the rekindling. The Carr-Adams connection does not have to set the world on fire right away to be a success, but it certainly could. If it takes some time, Carr doesn't have to be worried. After having Hunter Renfrow come to his rescue in a decimating passing attack in 2021, I think the work that they put in should prove invaluable this season. Forced into a #1 role, Renfrow not only put up big numbers, but he did it efficiently. He graded in the top 10 of all wide receivers in 2021 according to PFF, and he was one of the best in the slot in the league. And for much of the season, that was without anyone else of note attempting to catch passes. With Adams on the outside, that 93% separation percentage that he garnered with single coverage last year is going to be available. A lot. If we thought that Renfrow broke out last year, 2022 could be a heck of an encore. If that was all that Derek Carr had to work with, I would like his chances. But Las Vegas also has one of the best tight ends in the game strolling out there too. Darren Waller's 2021 did not go as planned, but he's expected to come back fully healthy. And when he does, I cannot imagine him doing anything but picking up right where he left off. His 4.46 speed at 6'6", 255 is incredible and makes him an extremely tough cover. He is a beast in the red zone and he can use that speed to stretch the field as well. With all of the other weapons around him, a career year is certainly not out of the question. That is, if there are enough targets to go around. The last piece of this puzzle is in new head coach Josh McDaniels, who should immediately help elevate this offense. With 8 top 10 finishes of his offenses and in 13 years in New England, there is reason for supreme optimism. He will set up Derek Carr and co. for success and find creative ways to get his playmakers in positions to succeed. If the Raiders can keep drama out of Sin City and stay healthy, they're going to put up a ton of points. There is a lot to love about this offensive unit. With Derek Carr at the helm and an excellent group surrounding him, a leap forward is all but certain. I believe that Carr will have every opportunity to smash his previous career highs with that talent surrounding him. With the success that he's had with a less than stellar support in the past, there is no reason to think he won't. What will Derek Carr be in 2022? At worst, he's going to be a 4,500-yard passer who throws 30 touchdowns. At best, Carr is an under-the-radar MVP candidate. Don't be surprised if he's in the conversation at the end of the year. And with that, we will call it a day for the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this content and I hope you learned something. If you are new to the channel, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. I cannot thank you guys enough for all of the support so far. We are on our way to the first 500 subscribers. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opatz, and we'll see you next time.